Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I had the pleasure of interviewing and a bit of a guitar hang with my buddy Robharris. Such a nice guy, killer guitar player. You'll have heard him on many things, Jamiroquai. He's played session guys, he's played on a lot of pop hits that you've probably heard too. All kinds of things. So we had a bit of a good hang and chat and talk and a few laughs, which is always good. Hey, look, if you haven't subscribed, please do. That really helps my channel, and hit the like button if you like what you're seeing today. Let's get into the interview. Great.
Yeah,
well, thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate you giving
man.
of your time, and it's awesome. And I've had a million questions for ages I've wanted to ask you, so and it seems other people do too, so here we go.
Okay, cool.
So,
it was good to see you. It's been a while since we had that coffee in Cambridge.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So,
Very nice.
A lot of questions from people, but I thought kind of to get the ball rolling, I thought just, some background on what you do. You're a studio guy, you also play in bands, you play do the Jamiroquai gig. Trionic, is that still a thing? Or I think it's
Trionic, yeah. Trionic, which you can see a thing back there. I'm no longer doing that. It was I was just spreading myself too thinly and wasn't having time to devote to that. There's a few things I want to do myself. I'm writing some of my own material at the moment, and with the sessions and the gigs, and going to be on tour with Jamiroquai later this year. It just wasn't fair. I just they kept on trying to arrange writing sessions, and I'm just like, I just don't have the time. It's just not fair, So I pulled away from that. And also, it's been so hard to get gigs with it,
Really?
Just so hard to get. Some of the venues that I used to play at here in the UK used to fill it. The Jazz Cafe, for example, in Camden. Nowadays, they're not interested unless you have thousands of subscribers on your Instagram. That's what they look at first.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because that doesn't necessarily equate to people coming to the gigs either, right? I think Mary Spender went out on tour and said that she lost money, but she's got hundreds of thousands on her YouTube. But it didn't equate to bums on seats, did it? So
no, well, they're all too busy sat at home looking at their phones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
Instead of coming out to see you play. So
yeah.
So Jamiroquai, you guys are, I think you mentioned you're in the studio. Was that what you were doing this week, or is that some other project?
Yeah. I've been in there this week, just doing. It's very sporadic. We've had concentrated bits of work, but just getting Jay. He's still writing, and it's getting there. It is getting there. It's sounding really good. I'm very excited about this record. It's nice. It's. I've been involved in some of the writing as well this time.
I had questions about the writing credit and the writing and stuff like that with the band, so I wasn't sure that.
I've been involved in the writing on every album that I played on, apart from the last one. I didn't do any writing on the last one, so it's not, I'm not it's just good to be involved in that creative process from that side of it. But it's, I'm not there just to be involved in the writing. It's not like I'm going, I just want to write on loads of songs. But it's just been nice to be part of that creative process this time around.
And how long have you done that gig for? It's been a long-term thing for you, isn't it?
Since 1999. So what's that, 26 years? 26?
There's a song in that, 1999, right?
99, yeah.
Wow, that's a long time, mate. Like, is that the longest gig you've ever done of one gig?
It's
I've never had a gig for 26 years that I can think of, right?
Yeah, it's a long time. It is a long time.
Awesome.
Touch wood.
And you guys are still touring and making records? I mean, it's fantastic,
Yeah, well, we haven't made a record. I think the last album was 7 years ago, 7 years ago. So
has it been that long?
We're going to be touring. We start in November this year. So Christmas will happen.
Yeah, there'll be Christmas at the Harris house. You get a little more than cornflakes for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Hang on.
Any plans to come to New Zealand? I hope you do.
You know what? That would be amazing. I definitely think we'll get to Australia. I've never played in New Zealand with the band, with Jamiroquai.
You can have a Robharris coffee when you come.
Do you know what? So the first time I went to New Zealand, I don't know whether I probably told you.
You did tell me, but
story.
tell it anyway. This is great.
It's I went to New Zealand a long time ago with a pop artist called Peter Andre.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Could just picture you doing that.
It was the only stint I did with him, because I was being shadowed by his brother.
Oh.
His brother wanted to play guitar in the band, but when he sort of was put in front of the MD just said, "Look, you're not good enough to do this, so I'm going to hire this guy." So he hired me, and I did these 5 or 6 gigs over in New Zealand. But I was being shadowed by Peter Andre's brother. Anyway, I flew all the way to New Zealand in economy, probably back in the day when they still had smoking on planes.
Yeah.
So I was sat at the back of the flight. I don't smoke, but everyone who smoked on the flight would just come up they'd spend the whole time smoke. It was just like constant smoking at the back of a plane.
Gross.
And I got there after probably, it felt like 36 hours travelling or something like that. And then had a bit of a sleep, and then went into a conference room for a big meeting about the upcoming gigs. And the ladies, I was in Auckland. I was in Auckland. And lady came round and said, "Would you like some coffee?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm all right, thanks." Anyway, she went round the whole table, gave everyone coffee, and by the time she got round to me again, I said, "Actually, I would like a coffee, please," because I could smell it. She went, "That's great. That's right. Have a nice cup of Robharris coffee." I was like, "What? How do you know my name?" And my mum used to live there. My mum grew up in Rotorua.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah. So I was like, my brain's going,
yeah,
there's a child here, and it's become a coffee. Coffee. Perhaps I should do that.
I'll read you this question that came from Rob Mathews, who's a really great guitar tech here, probably one of the best guys in Wellington. He's like the most guitar obsessed person I know. But he said, ask him. He said, how does he find time to gig when he's not running a coffee empire? What a shit story.
You know what? Coffee's probably more lucrative than being a guitar player these days.
Especially in New Zealand, because coffee is like a real thing here. Like it's
a religion, right?
Yeah, totally. And I've travelled a lot around the world, and I still reckon the best coffee's here. I mean, I might be biased, but it's sort of one of those things.
Yeah.
But Robharris is right in the middle.
Robharris.
It's right in the middle.
Maybe I could just slip in. Maybe I'll just come over, and if it all goes to shit here, I can just come over and just slip into the office. Yeah, Robharris.
Robharris.
Yeah.
I had a student who had the same name as a vineyard here, and he tried that, and they told him to bugger off.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mate, so you grew up in Qatar? Is that what? Did I see you say that or something?
I did. Yeah, I was there 7 years in Qatar. I came I moved over there when I was 4 with my parents and my brother and sister, and I came back in 1983.
So how does someone get into funk music when they're in that part of the world? Right?
Yeah, Camel funk.
Yeah. There you go. So we got Herbie Strat, we got more lemon juice.
Herbie Strat,
Camel's funk.
Camel funk. That's a good name for a tune, actually.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm copywriting it.
I'll write that. Camel funk. Yeah. Camel Funk Records. My new album on Camel Funk. That's bad. Is that bad? Could I get in trouble for that?
Yeah, you'll get cancelled.
There are camels. There are camels in Qatar. Yeah.
They've got to be.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that must have been quite an experience, right? Because it's a totally different world from the UK and the whole, So what age were you when you came back to the UK?
So it's 1983, so I think I just turned 12.
12. Oh, okay, so you'd been, it wasn't that long you were there. And when you were 12 and you got back to the UK, did you had lessons when you were in the UK? And
I did, yes. Promptly, I was playing a guitar. So I got my dad's old Hofner guitar, and then I got for Christmas just before we came home. I got this. I didn't get this out specially. It's just sat on top of one of my monitors here. I got this, which is a picture of me with my first guitar in Qatar.
Is that a Goya or something like that, or it looks like one of those Italian?
It was called a KT. It was a KT. Yeah, it looked like it had been made. The body looked like it had been just chopped out of a kitchen table. It was plywood.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was But
action a centimetre high off the fretboard, is it?
Yeah, absolutely, a banana shaped neck.
Yeah.
And I came back and promptly had lessons with a really amazing guitar player who lives near me now still, called Colin Medlock. He was just incredible. So I had lessons with him for about 3 or 4 years, one a week,
And did he instill the love of rhythm guitar for you? Because
no,
that's what when I hear you play, that's like the thing that gets me and has always got me from your playing is just the way you play rhythm. It's fantastic. It's it seems like it's a real focus for you, which to be honest, all the players I tend to like, that's usually it, right?
Yeah,
Charlie Hunter.
Well, rhythm is the thing, really. I think, it's when you spend 90. Well, I definitely do spend 99% of the time playing rhythm.
Me too.
Soloing is very, very little part, a very small part of what I do. Especially in studio land. Yeah, I mean, on a record, I think I've probably done 6 solos in my lifetime.
Really?
For making a released record, that's a major label thing. I never do solos. I've probably done about 6, but yeah.
It shows you the bread and butter, right? You always see these YouTube videos. They go, the arpeggio secrets of the pros, or the scale secrets of the pros, and I'm like, dude, it's rhythm is the secret of the pros. Period. Like, right?
Play 3 notes in time, and
make it
you'll
groove.
end up on the record. Yeah, make it groove.
Like, right?
Yeah, groove is the that's my favourite players are that as well. Just the timing. I don't know whether you've been watching the recent Dan Huff stuff.
Yeah, all of it. Can't get enough. Can't get enough. I've changed my pick because of bloody Dan Huff. When he was talking about Fender mediums and Fender, I couldn't find any Fenders, but I'm like, damn it, Dan Huff, I've got to change my pick to be more like Dan Huff. And I bought a Strat because of Dan Huff. This is
really. Right, a new one. Right, very nice. He's incredible, and I must have seen it about 4 times already on the Vertex. Mason from Vertex did a video. His second video he's done with him, where he's breaking down. He's talking to Dan Huff about playing I Just Can't Stop Loving You, the Jackson C. de Garrett thing. Oh man, it's just even when he's just playing swell chords, his timing is absolutely flawless.
And the little bits where he picks out the melody on occasion and then back into a rhythm and stuff. It's just, so, I mean, Man in the Mirror and does that, and oh man, he's the king, you know.
Oh, it's amazing. But that's why he was working, because that's what a producer wants, is someone who can play in time, figures out what the pocket is in the room, and then adds to it. You know, that's something I feel really passionate about, is how do I get into this track?
Totally.
Yeah.
So you were having lessons weekly, and then I'm assuming you got out and did a whole lot of pub gigs, because the pub scene in the UK would have been very strong, right? Still is.
Yeah. I started gigging in pubs when I was about 14. My first official pub gig, I was actually 14, because I remember there was a bit of a worry with the band that I was playing with. I was playing with these older guys in Cambridge. I'm saying older, they were probably only about 23.
Yeah, but it seemed like that gap, right?
Yeah, but there was a concern about whether I could get into the pub. You know, I think I had to be chaperoned by my dad or something at the time, and but yeah, there was also the thing of, you know, I remember I had a neighbour who had a little function band. And I remember knocking on his door. I could hear them rehearsing. I remember knocking on his door, and it was literally our next door neighbour. We had a semi-detached house. Knocking on his door, saying, I think his name was Tony. Hi, Tony. If you ever need a guitar player on one of your gigs, because he was the guitar player in the band.
Oh, how funny.
You know, I'd love to come along. You don't need to pay me. I'll just come along and play. And I think he was a bit taken aback. But about a year later, I think he'd heard me playing Through the Wall, Sultans of Swing or something, and and he heard that I could probably play the solo and went, I'll get him to come and do it.
It's such but maybe that tenacity to just have the balls to go and knock on someone's door and say, give me a gig, went a long way, I'm sure.
Yeah, it still works like that, I think, you know.
It kind of does, doesn't it? You know, you've got to... I'm not good at it. I'm really bad at putting myself forward for things, but I think sometimes you just have to, and you have to go... You've got to remind people that you're actually... Yeah. You know, it's not a very Kiwi thing to do, though.
There's hustling, and then there's gentle hustling, you know. There's... I've never been into that thing of calling people up cold and going, oh, hi, man, you don't know me, but I'm a guitar player, and, you know, I've never done that, but it's... You know, I kind of realised that you've got to be in the room to be able to be in the room. You know, you've got to be out there.
I got a friend in LA who organises bands, and he was Natalie Cole's trumpet player, and Tom Jones and all these people. And I remember I was around at his house one time, and this drummer rang him up and said, hey man, I've got these dates free. I've got Saturday, I've got Sunday, and he had it on speakerphone so I could hear. And my friend John goes, well, if you're free on Saturday, my lawn needs mowing, and if you're free on Sunday, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, and this was like I won't say who it was, but it was a drummer of note, like a heavy hitting LA guy, you know.
Right.
But it was like, I couldn't do that.
No.
Bring someone.
I don't know, you probably get it quite a bit. I get messages from people I've never met, never heard play before, saying, hey man, I'm just letting you know I'm a guitar player. If there's any work you can't do, I'm available. I'm never going to offer that work to someone I don't know. It's always going to be someone I know and trust, and you know, if I can't make a gig, I've probably got 3 people that I can go call Tim or call Milton, or you know, because I know they're going to be professional. They're going to turn up, learn the set. Also, selfishly, I don't want someone that's going to come in and try and steal my gig because I can't make one gig, because that does happen. There's a lot of people who hustle and, you know, I'll do it for less money than he charges you and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah,
that's
had that.
The hustle.
Yeah, I hate that kind of side of it too.
Now when the rain falls upon my head, I don't think of you much at all. Just one thing seemed to make you. Who's gonna drive and take you home? Yeah.
So with the Jamiroquai thing, how did you end up? Did you have to audition to get that gig, or how did that come about? Because it was a band that was already going, right? There was a guitar player before you joined the band, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I joined in '99. I got a call. Do you want to audition for? Didn't tell me who it was. It was quite a big band. Are you up for it? At the time, I was working with another artist, and I was actually sort of at the end of recording an album, which took a year. So I got the call saying, "Do you want to audition for this band? They're quite a big band." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Who is it?" You know, it took a while I don't know why it took a while for the guy to tell me who it was. Probably because he was waiting for it to be officially a thing. And then I found out it was Jamiroquai, and then I was like, "Oh man, that's my ideal gig," you know.
Yeah, you're about as perfect for that music as it comes, right? Like that's your bag.
And then there was a long period of time between me being asked and when the audition date was.
Oh, really?
And I kind of just long enough for the doubt to set in, and I started to question. You know, if I don't get this gig, it's gonna be very hard to recover from not getting this gig. You know, I'm gonna struggle to get over it. So I was sat there. It was actually with my ex-wife at the time, and one night I just talked myself out of going to the audition. I was like, I'm not going to go. I'm just going to.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother. Yeah, I can't. I don't think I'll recover if I don't get it. So I don't want to put myself into that position.
Right.
And we must have talked about this for about an hour, and then she said, "Okay, well, we've talked about it now. You're not going. All right, let's switch. Let's put the telly on, take our minds off it." And as I switched the TV on, there's the Jules Holland show, and there was Jamiroquai playing on the Jules Holland show, and I went, and the timing was.
It's a sign if ever there was, right? You know,
it's a sign, and so I went, and then I had to audition twice. I was I think there was about 35, 36 players. I got down to the final two, and then we had to audition again. And somehow I managed to get it.
Oh, you obviously did what was required, right? Like that, you wouldn't have... Because I know someone else who auditioned for that gig as well, that guy from the... Paul Drew from the Studio Rats. I don't know if you've ever seen that channel. He auditioned for two, and apparently Jay was really hard on him, like really hard on him. So, you know. Yeah,
well, Jay, how it worked is I've seen this subsequent when we audition for other musicians. Jay's not normally in the room at the start. He kind of it was set up in a studio, so he could hear. He was sort of floating around in the control room area, but we were in the live room playing. And I think if he liked what he hears, then he'll come in the room. So that's what happened with me. I also had the forethought to, at the time I was only sent 4 songs to learn to play. But I got every album. I had most of them anyway, but I got every album and I learned every song off every album. Apart from the ones that had didgeridoo on it, because I knew that they didn't have the didgeridoo player in the band. So I learnt every song. And then, as it would happen, when Jay came in the room, he started calling other songs, and I kind of knew them. And he also does this thing where he'll sing lines at you that aren't in the song that you've learnt, and then he wants to see how quickly you can pick up on things, and
It's a trick, isn't it? Like, because here's the 4 songs we're going to do, and it's never just that, is it? Right? Like it's
no.
You got to know the catalogue.
Yeah, I've taken that into my further learning, my further life of being a musician is to be more prepared, but almost flexi learn things. So you kind of learn it, but you learn the live version from 4 years ago, and then you learn this and. Oh, you change key, okay. You kind of learn it, so you're almost like in flexi mode all the time, rather than this is rigidly the arrangement that you play. Because bands change things up all the time. They get bored of playing the hit that they've had 20 years ago, so they'll, they might want to put a 7/8 section in or something.
Yeah, something to screw you up or whatever that you're not prepared for. Oh man, that's great. And Yeah, you are about the perfect person that I could think of for that gig. So it's
Oh.
no surprise it's lasted that long, and probably a mix of personalities too, right? You all probably. It seems like you and Paul in particular. No, I don't know Paul,
Yeah.
so I shouldn't say that. But
Yeah.
Paul Turner, the bass
Yeah.
player, the really
Yeah.
good dynamic between you and him and Derek,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Matt, and you guys seem to get along well.
It's like when we haven't played for a while. It's like a comfortable pair of shoes. You know, it's it's just a joy to play with them. You know, we did a little thing a couple of weeks ago. Paul, Derek, and myself did a little thing, a little workshop, and it is just like you can just relax. You know, Paul and Derek are incredible, so you can just relax when you're playing. And
Sorry, mate, I'm
yeah,
going to
it's
turn
great.
that off. I thought
That's all right.
I put my phone in airplane mode, but it's still beeping at me.
Yeah.
Somebody's messaging
Yeah,
me.
my wife's messaging me too. It's like,
When are you gonna be
can't
done? You said
escape
we were
the
going to dinner.
messages. Yeah, no, she's asking me about taking the dogs for a walk as it's getting warm outside. But
Oh,
I
nice.
told
Well, at
her
least
I'd-
it's warm in the UK, right?
Yeah, it's
I've heard
yeah. It wasn't yesterday. It was freezing yesterday. But yeah,
So the new record, did you dig out the old JV, or were you using the new guitar or the Porridge Smith?
yeah.
all of it?
I'm using. I tend to take 6 or 7 in. I will. You know, I've been using my guitar, my signature guitar. I've got this Jazzmaster here. I've used this on quite a few things. This
Oh, nice.
this little thing.
I think I saw that on your
with-
Instagram. You did a little.
Yeah, I had it near me yesterday.
It's awesome.
I'm very much a.
What's closest?
What's your favourite guitar? What's the closest one to me at the time?
Have you got the signature guitar handy? Can you show the audience? I'd love to
let
see
me
it.
grab it. Hang on, I'll just grab it 1 second.
Yep. Thanks.
It's over the other side of the room.
So it's second closest.
It's this one.
So it's second closest.
Second closest.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I love it. It's
So
great.
it's a Patrick Eagle, and did you
Patrick
sat
James
down
Eagle guitars.
and you sat down and designed that with him? I remember you saying something about the colour being white had something to do with Alan
Yeah.
Murphy.
Alan Murphy, yeah. So basically, my main Strat for a long time has been my JV Squire, which is a mutt of a guitar. It's not, the neck's changed, the pickups are different, the machine heads are different. The only thing that's original is even the scratch plate's not original. It's just the body. But there's something about that guitar that just is the one I'm drawn back to all the time. I put the neck on myself. I've told this story before, but a friend of mine, Burgh, a guitar player and friend of mine, Burgh, he gave me the neck for a birthday, and it was just a completely blank Warmouth or something like that. I don't even know where it's from. I had no idea what I was doing, so I went to a car shop, bought a tin of lacquer, hung it up in my garden, just sprayed it, didn't cover the frets or anything, just sprayed it from head to toe about 5 times, impatient, going, I want to put it on my guitar. Because the old neck on the JV went banana shaped. And then I scraped the lacquer off just by putting some strings on and sort of like vibratoing all the strings, and it looked like a guitar with a skin condition for a while.
A guitar with a skin condition. There's a new name for a song, man. They're coming out.
But yeah, it became my main guitar. I used it on loads and loads of songs. I used it all over the first Jamiroquai record and like Kylie Minogue records and stuff like that. And but it's a mutt. It's anyway. So that was the guitar. When we were in discussions about this, I said, look, if you can make me a Strat style guitar that has the warmth and the body tone wise of my JV, but with a humbucker in it. Because I'm a big fan of the DGT, the DGT.
Yeah, me too. Mine's just over there.
The PRS. I love that guitar, and I wanted a bridge pickup that was similar to that. So Patrick made me this incredible instrument, which is really lovely. And then Sun Bear Pickups, Stuart Robertson from Sun Bear Pickups designed me these pickups, my signature set, which he sells. If anyone wants them, I don't I don't receive a royalty either on the guitars or on the pickups.
Mate,
it's
you
just
should be.
a lovely guitar to have. Well, these are small companies that don't, they're not mass producing instruments. So
Nice to lend your support
just
to a
a-
small company like that, isn't it? That are
well, it's
doing
nice
great work.
for them to lend their support to a small guitar player.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, I'm over the moon with it. It's really great. But I've been using this on the record, the JV, my 335, a Telly.
We're working on it, I know you're impatient, man, but we're working on it, you know what I mean? We're working on it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. It's all under control.
I'll plug anything to get it done. I just, if it's not working on a certain guitar, I'll pick up another one. But I'm not I'll go for the 63.
Yeah, I'm the same, man.
I'm not
Whatever
bothered.
works.
I'm not bothered.
So
Yeah.
were you recording direct on this stuff and then through, or amps or both, or?
Both. There's been some songs. I mean, when we were in the sort of writing process, I just had my quad cortex because it was just quick to change sounds. But I've had I've got my deluxe reverb in the studio that's kind of camped up there. You can get pretty much everything you want out of that, that kind of amp,
Totally.
especially in this style of music. I take a pedal board, but there's been a load of songs where I've just gone direct, and then actually we wrote a song, and with Jay, it tends to happen really quickly. You've got to move quickly, so the idea will happen, and then if he's on a roll, you want to get down parts because you may never get a chance to play them again. So there was one song I played where I picked up the Jazzmaster, just plugged straight into a preamp and put 3 guitar parts down, and that's the record. No amp. I don't even know if there's plugins on it, I'm not sure. But when you're on that flow and it's working, just get it down, do it,
Totally.
I'm not fussed. I'm only fussed when the sound's not working. But, yeah.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? Like the whole thing of doing sessions that people think... I remember talking to my brother about this, and I played him some Tom Bukovac, and I said how inspired I was by Tom Bukovac's playing. And he said, but everything... My brother doesn't play professionally. He's like a bedroom shredder, And he said, but what he's doing is really just quite basic, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, but I said, you try and do what he just did and then make it feel like that and do it from the go from cold to that in the pocket, make it with that sound and the groove, and that's not easy to do.
It's not an easy thing to do. That's why these people are the people, That's why Lee Ritenour, Carlton, Luke,
Landau,
Landau's
Ray
just
Parker Jr.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they're the people. They can come up with the idea.
But that's you
and
too, though,
execute
right?
it.
Because you in the UK,
Well,
the two main guys I always think of the studio guys there is you and Adam Goldsmith. You two
Adam's great.
The busiest guys around, right? That is still.
Have you spoken to Adam? Have you had a chat with Adam yet?
Yeah, I did one of these when I was in London with Adam, and we sort of knew of each other. And I went and hung out with at a few of his gigs when he was playing at the Woodman and places like that, just little club gigs that he was around doing, and lovely guy.
I love Adam. He's brilliant.
He's a great player too. Yeah, but you two guys are the two guys that are doing a lot, right? You're the busy two guys.
He's what I call a proper session musician. He can sit in a room and they can put some fly shit in front of him, like some music notation, whereas I would absolutely fill my shorts.
Do you not read at all?
I'm a terrible reader.
Really?
Terrible reader. I can do it. But yeah, I'll take this. Can I just take this away for half an hour and look at it? And and learn, basically catch on to anyone who's singing, and could you just sing me that? And I've got quite good memory, so that's how I learned that stuff.
But what about the show?
reading dots?
You took off to do a show. I think did I see you were doing something in France and places like that? Would you have had charts for that show, or were they just learnt parts, or
just learn? I get sent the material and then chart it out myself.
I see.
And then, I want to get off that chart as quickly as possible. I want to memorize the music and get off it as quickly as possible. Yeah,
it's interesting because I read, like, that's one of the things I do a lot on gigs,
Right.
But I have I'm caught between this rock and hard place with students all the time, because I'm like, most of you are never going to need this. You don't, unless you're doing what I do, you're not going to, and even then, I'm doing what I do. There's not a lot of call for you guys to be doing it, you know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's
that's it. Adam did a great video, which prompted me to do a video on my channel, actually. Adam did a video where he was talking about this, especially with music colleges. They're sending people out there with all these skills, but currently there's not the working situations to take that amount of people,
Yeah.
And he was saying that, if he's doing a session, there's only going to be 3 people that do that session. There's him. There's a guy called John Paracelli.
Yeah, John Paracelli. I thought you were going to say.
I don't know who the other guy would be. It definitely wouldn't be me. I'm not going to get booked to go and do a film date where I'm sitting with an orchestra reading parts. I'm just not that guy. He's that guy. He's also the guy that gets booked to go in studios and do the sessions like I do. But I'm the kind of, I see myself as the guy that's like, can you play on this song and
come up with a part
That's kind of what I want to do. Yeah, I do get sent the odd session where it's a pretty heavy reading thing, but because I'm here, I can digest it and then learn it and then play it.
So you do a lot of session work from your home studio there, don't you?
Yeah,
these days,
most of it is done here these days.
It's great, isn't it? Like this is where I work, so it's sort of my space to do stuff too, and that's fantastic.
It took a minute to get used to doing that and not getting that feedback.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is you
it's
don't
really
get
hard.
the feedback from the client or the producer, so you have to give yourself the feedback almost. You have to basically be both people. You're playing it, and then you listen back and go, yeah, that's fine.
And how many times do you send stuff off and then you hear nothing for like a week or two, and you're like, does it suck? Like, usually no word, no correspondence means it's good, but it's like to break it down into the I've had this conversation with other guitar players. You've done a good job when you look in your bank account and you've been paid, and then the confirmation that you've done a good job is when that client asks you to do some more. Don't expect anyone to say, "Oh, that was brilliant." They'll only tell you when it's not right. That's what I've learned. If there's something wrong with it, that's when they'll be in touch. You almost don't want them to get in touch. It's an interesting thing, though. I think music. Would you agree that music is not as good when everybody's playing remote? You know what I mean? It seems to me. I thought this for a while, that all this overdubbing that people are doing, where we're not playing together and not. Like, what I play would probably be adjusted by what the drummer might play, and they might adjust to what I'm doing. But then someone raised the argument that many of our, I think it was Tim Pierce, said many of our favourite albums were overdubs. The Queen stuff, a lot of that Queen stuff was Brian May overdubbing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, David Gilmour, on stuff like that. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I feel really strongly about that. Whenever I look at the pictures of the Wrecking Crew or the Motown records, they were all in a small room, and they can see the whites of each other's eyes, and the track feels a certain way because of that.
Totally.
The proximity of the bass player to the drummer when they're sitting, they've got a little baffle between them. The fact that there's no one wearing cans. They're playing at the volume they need to play at because they need to hear themselves over the drummer who's right next to them. And then that in turn is, what did they have for breakfast that morning? Did they have a row with their other half? You know,
Yeah.
all of this stuff created the sound. You know, the engineer, was he pissed off? Was he, you know, was he late on his car payments and he was a bit anxious that day? All of those things have an effect on the music we listen to. So when everything got split off into a room, yeah, it's still slightly that, but when now you've got the remote thing, as you just said, nothing you play is going to be able to affect what's already there.
Exactly.
You can join in with it and
Yeah.
add a feeling to it, but in a room, you know, when you're playing, if you come up with a little part, the drummer might hear it and go, "Oh, I love that,"
And
and
adjust.
then move with you, adjust.
Yep.
That's why AI is never going to do what musicians do. I
totally
believe.
agree.
It's going to do a thing, but it's never going to be able to recreate what musicians do.
I totally agree, and it's interesting,
In
isn't
my
it? Because if you think about Photoshop, right? Like we see someone who's photoshopped, and we now recognize it straight away, and we go, that model's been photoshopped. I think the same thing's going to happen with music, right? Like people are going to look at that and go, that's AI music, and maybe it's fine, maybe it's not, or maybe it's Giacomo Chura. I don't know. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
Do you know what? I saw your video on that the other day.
Oh, did you? Oh dear.
I started to feel bad. I started to feel bad for him, to be honest. I hope he's okay.
I do too, and you know it's interesting.
I'm not happy with what he's done, but
No.
I hope he's okay. You know,
I had a session in the weekend, and I was playing something, and I started to think, I started fucking the part up, and because I was questioning about being perfect, and as people were going to judge this and I thought, why am I even thinking this? And I thought, I'm thinking this because of that guy. He's put that thought into my head that was never there before, and so it's interesting that it's kind of turned things on its head. I don't think people really care about sounds being perfectly isolated or things being perfect or quantized. They want a humanness to it, don't they? That's what I think.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I would. So I think certain people do, and certain people don't know or care. Just like certain people don't care what it is they're eating. You know, I don't care. It says it's meat. Is it meat? I don't know. It looks like meat. They tell me it's meat. I'll eat it. They could be eating
McDonald's.
bits of plastic. You know. Yeah. It's discerning people who choose. Actually, I don't want to be fooled here. I want. You know, you are what you eat is a big term. If you're listening to music that's like that, it's not going to be feeding you. It's not going to be enriching you like other music is. Music is there for a reason. Art is there for a reason. It's for the enrichment. It's for someone to get something out that they want to get out. God, I'm getting deep.
Sorry, mate. I had to do this.
Deep.
It's Friday night. Sorry, mate. I brought this
Friday
on
night
myself.
for you.
I should ask you some of these questions too that people have put here. Sure.
I'm prattling on.
No. It's me. I opened it up and it was I can't help myself.
Yeah, but it's been an interesting thing to watch the Giacomo business. Yeah, you know, he went down a dark path, and but seeing the amount of backlash. You know, I start to go, I hope he's okay, you know, because that's a barrage, you know.
Yeah.
And
the internet's kind of like that a bit, though, isn't it? Do you remember that John Cordy did that JHS video and the internet kind of turned on him and a bunch of people? And I remember talking to Cordy about it because I was a bit worried. I thought, man, this is kind of, it gets heavy on people, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'll ask you. So someone said here, questions. I'd be interested in asking Rob how he decides what gear to use on sessions or with Jamiroquai. So how do you decide what gear to use? So is it like someone says, oh, we want Jeff Beck, or we want this, or do you, whatever it might be? Do you think of it that way, or do you think of it in terms of what it like? Okay, I'm hearing a Strat in this, or I'm hearing
Yeah. Well,
oh shit! Sorry, we lost you for a second there, mate.
You froze. Yeah,
you're back now.
Sorry, I thought he's either intently listening to what I'm saying or he's frozen.
Like Tom Bukovac. Have you ever seen Tom Bukovac do that? I love that shit where he goes, and
he
music's gotten better now, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And you think it's frozen, but he's just stayed really still to punk you. Sorry, mate. You go for it.
So gear wise, I discovered, like we all do. You go, I want the guitar that does that, a guitar that does this, a guitar that does that, and I try to turn up with one of each of the things that I might think I need, so I'm covered. In Jamiroquai, we don't get a lot of time to get things down. If he's on a roll and he's in a productive state, you need to get things down as quickly as possible. So that could be a DI. Everything needs to be ready to go at all times. So I tend to take everything that I've got, through. And the guarantee is, it happened to me this week. Oh, it needs a bit of acoustic. I was like, I didn't bring an acoustic today because I was certain that we weren't going to be doing acoustic, but he might change. It's just one of those things. But that's why doing sessions here, I've got 35 guitars. I've got one of everything. They're not expensive guitars. They just do the thing that is that. So I just try and have a version of everything here. And if I haven't got it, I look at the thing I've used the least, and that's the thing that's going to go to get the thing I need.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you found that people with brands is a thing? Like, like they have to see Fender there, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Especially with a Squire, right? Like some people kind of. Have you ever encountered that or not?
Certain producers will look at things. I've learned a few tricks with certain different producers that I work with. Some of them, I'll make sure that every time if I'm ever going to a session with them, I make sure I turn up with a new piece of equipment.
Oh yeah.
So that they can see it. I kind of get it out, and I'm like, oh, I've just got this. So they feel, oh, I'm getting value for money here. You're bringing something new every time. What does it do? I may never ever use it, but it's almost like a bit of a mind game that they feel, oh, we're getting the full thing. You come in with a couple of amps. I'll take in 4 amps, 5 amps sometimes, and we'll only use one. And then some, I will just take the bare minimum because they don't want a load of gear. They just want you to turn up with an amp and a guitar. I always take a modeler, so the quad cortex, just so I can get weird things quickly. But a lot of people, I'm saying this, I shouldn't say this.
Go on.
I'll be careful. I think sometimes people listen with their eyes.
100%. That's why I said about the not 100%, but for some people it's 100% because that's why I asked about the logo thing. Sorry. Yeah. So that's probably a good answer to all that. So next question was: could you ask if he has a set practice routine or exercises for practicing his rhythm playing? Love his playing style.
Rhythm playing wise, it's just. I'm just doing this. So I kind of loosen up and I'll be having a conversation with someone or be talking about something, but I'm kind of just trying to get a feeling of that. Kind of just getting the wrist going. But yeah, just it's not so, I don't get a lot of time to practice because I'm always playing.
And do you practice with a metronome much these days, or do you have any like tricks like that you do or things? No, not with a metronome.
I very rarely ever play with a metronome. I'll throw a drum loop up. I'll throw a drum loop up sometimes and just get into what that drum loop feels like. Having variations of drum loops, like we were saying earlier, you have to adjust to what's going on. So that's the thing of trying to get into the pocket of a real person playing. That is the adjustment,
I'm the same. I find like Drum Genius way more interesting than a metronome, because you're hearing all the subdivisions and things and stuff like that. So
I will work with the metronome if I'm having to play a line that's really fast, but it doesn't happen that often these days,
So a question here from Nathan, a buddy in Australia, does a lot of shows and things. He says, how does Rob maintain consistency, both mentally and physically, when on tour or during long periods of back-to-back work?
Well, physically, yeah, that's a thing. I'm 53 now. Things are starting to go a little bit. Oh,
Same
my hands are, I don't know about you. I'm getting a bit of arthritis in my right hand, in my strumming hand.
I've been getting sore hands lately. And I
Yeah.
think I put it down to playing the Telecaster more, but then I was like, it seems better with the Strat than it was with the Tele, but I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I wake up some mornings with sore hands. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Getting old.
Yeah, getting old. So yeah, I'm getting arthritis in my right hand. So left hand is absolutely fine, and I think that's probably because of the work that it does. But whereas this is the percussive hand. Yeah, arthritis in my little finger and my first finger.
Mate.
Which every morning for about half an hour, 45 minutes, I'm having to sort of move my hand. Physically, try and go to the gym, which I don't, and I try to go out and have a walk. I'm trying to walk, trying to get my 10,000 steps in a day. Mentally, I absolutely love my job. I love it when I'm in the studio. I love it when I'm on tour. I love it. I'm in a good place when I'm playing my guitar. If ever I'm having a hard time, we've all had hard times in our lives, but this thing will take me away from that sometimes. Just playing. It's almost like that thing. Your brain can't think of two things at once. This sitting and getting into music is. I don't mind telling you this story. A few years ago, I lost both of my parents 13 months apart.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I remember.
I was sat in my studio and I got the phone call saying, this from my sister saying, this was during COVID time. Mum is being put on end of life treatment, and I knew that was coming. And I was like, okay, and obviously devastated. And then 3 minutes later, I get a phone call saying, Rob, have you got time to play on this track? And I just went, yep. And I played on it then. And I did a 3-hour session. And it was almost like it just took me away from the other horrible stuff for 3 hours. It was still there, obviously, but it's amazing the power of music. Yeah. It almost gives your brain a bath, That's what I find. So that's the mentally thing, Music is such a powerful thing in that way for me.
I find it's the same thing too with it. Do you find this as well? Like if you have a gig that doesn't go to plan, doesn't go well, like getting to sleep that night is like nearly impossible. My brain tries to formulate all the things and,
Oh man, I had a dream last night. My dream last night was I was doing a gig for Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, wow.
And I'm on stage. I'm on stage with a band I don't know, and I don't know any of the songs. And she kept walking up to me going, are you okay? And I just didn't know any of the songs.
Oh, shit.
Why this happened? And I was at some gig in America with a load of musicians, and the crew were coming up. Are you okay? Have you got the set list there? I just did the pedal board I'd never seen before.
I lost you for a sec. There you go. You're back.
It's all right, man. It's all right. Good.
I might have to do some little edits for those sort of things. Sorry.
Yeah,
about
you're going to
that.
edit. You're going to be like Pro Tools editing this.
Oh man, I did one of these with David Beebe, who you may know. Beebs.
Oh yeah.
A couple of months ago, and man, it was a nightmare. I had this. I didn't have this kind of thing, but the audio had drifted. So about every 30 bars or something, I'd have to move it over and line it back up, and then the next, and it was like it took me forever, but I got it done. But
the skills we need to learn these days. Yeah.
Speaking of which, that was one of the questions I had for you too. Is how do you find because we're in similar ages? I'm 46, you're 53, so we're in that same sort of bracket. The social media thing. Do you know what I mean? I've had people tell me, oh, you're good at that stuff. And I'm like, man, I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing with any of this, especially the YouTube thing and all this Instagram kind of carry on. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, how do you find having it? It seems to take a lot of time too, right?
It does. Yeah, it's a time suck. Yeah. It's something we have to be doing. Do we? Hang on a minute. Do we have to do it? We don't have to do it.
You have to do it to some degree, I think. You know, how you do that is the difference.
I think it's good to do it, but what we're trying to do is we're tickling this algorithm that's not a real person.
Yes, but
So you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful, I think, not to slip into what does the algorithm want rather than what do you want. You know, try to fight the algorithm, I think, is... don't fight it, but just try not to make that inform our decisions about what we post. I'm guilty of it, thinking... So I'm, you know... When I look at... and this is just as an example... I have very few followers on Instagram compared to some other players I know, right? Like Scott McKeown. I don't know if you know Scott.
No.
Do you know Scott McKeown?
No.
Scott's an amazing player. Plays with Tom Jones here. He's great. Check him out. He's great.
I
He's
do
a
know who
lovely
you
guy.
mean. I didn't know his name. Right.
He's brilliant. He's got huge following on Instagram. Compared to me, I mean, I think I'm touching like 19,000 or something. I don't know, but he's like, I don't know what he's at, 40,000, 50,000 or something. But his style of playing is sexier than my style of playing. I'm just, you know, most of my stuff is rhythm stuff. I don't do loads and loads of soloing, and people want to watch soloing guitar, and he's incredible, and his rhythm playing's amazing as well. But it's sexier, you know. Matheus Assato, Matteo Mancuso, Jack Gardner. You know, it's sexier to see people doing this thing where they're amazing. They've got amazing facility and amazing lead playing, great lead playing, than someone just vamping away on 2-3 chords. So I'm kind of fighting the thing of going, oh, maybe to get my numbers up, I should do a little bit more playing and lead stuff. But it's not what I do.
Yeah,
you know?
It's bizarre, isn't it, that we even think like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to go, you know...
Chasing views.
Like you... Chasing views because you want more numbers, because it might lead to more work. That's, you know... I don't think... I've kind of come to the realisation that I need to, you know, I make a living playing this thing. It's my job. I make a living. And what's the point of having a forum like this? It's great for information, but, you know, we are still having to make a living. And the amount of time it takes to do a video, I mean, look, you know, you're going to have to edit this video yourself. It's information, you know, about things. It's stuff that people are interested in. You know, I'm definitely interested in guitar. That's all I watch is guitar videos. And...
I'm the same. I love it, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because someone said once, it wasn't even a guitar YouTuber. It was someone like a tech guy. He said replace the word algorithm with audience. Not what does the algorithm want? What does the audience want? And that's something I try and remind myself. It's really tough, though. I remember when I first started playing. If you played good, things happened. This doesn't seem to be the case with this stuff. Like and the other thing I find too is Instagram, like a lot of this stuff, it rewards flashy playing, and flashy playing in the real world doesn't work. I mean, like you, I had a gig last week with an orchestra, and we had 5 calls, and I didn't play one solo the whole time.
Yeah.
We're talking pop stuff, you know, and it was like Earth, Wind and Fire, ABBA, things like this. Yeah. There was not even a saxophone solo in the whole show either. Like, we had 4 sax players, you know, with the orchestra. So.
Yeah. A mate of mine, I'm friends with a keyboard player. I'm going to steal his story because it's such a great story. Keyboard player Don Airy. He plays for Deep Purple now, but he was, you know, he's in Ozzy's band with Randy Rhoads. He's you know, he's a legendary. Did White Snake and Rainbow, but he was on tour with Gary Moore years ago.
Wow.
And he played, you know, did Still Got the Blues and Parisian Walkways.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
He was on tour with Gary Moore, and apparently there was a drummer in the band, and it was the thing where it was the drum solo and everyone leaves the stage for the drum solo. They just got this new drummer in the band, and Gary Moore and Don were stood at the side of the stage during the drum solo, and Don said, "Oh, that drummer's a bit busy. And Gary Moore went, "He won't be next week."
I heard a great one like that. It was Les Claypool, you know, of the band Primus.
Oh, yeah.
He said, just remember, people, drummer rhymes with bummer.
Yeah.
I was like, ouch. But, you know.
Yeah. It's you're right. It doesn't reward it's like an opposite thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Of what really matters.
The algorithm rewards the flashy stuff, but actually working musicians tend to be
don't do that.
You know.
Very quickly, because I realise I've been taking a lot of your time, but two songs I really want to ask you about. Two of my favourite Jamiroquai tunes are, and of course I wanted to talk to you.
ones that I played on.
We'll soon see. I played on. You know that story, right, of Billy, the piano player, he got asked to speak at Miles Davis's launch of Kinda Blue, and he went on about how fantastic the piano playing was on Freddie Freeloader, one of those tracks, and he said Bill Evans sounded amazing. He sounded better than he sounded in the whole rest of the album, and it was the one track he hadn't played on. It wasn't Bill Evans at all. It was McCoy Tyne or whoever it was, you know.
Oh wow! Yeah. I went to see. I got a call one Sunday afternoon. It was a friend of mine saying, "Rob, we got a music venue down the road here. It's probably half an hour away, called the Stables. Rob, I've just found out there's an evening with Larry Carlton. Do you want to go and see Larry Carlton?"
Wow.
I was like, what? He's in Milton Keynes, down the road. Milton Keynes. You're out of your mind. So I went down there, and it was very odd. It was Larry on stage with just an amp playing over some backing tracks. And you know those things where the guitar's way louder than the backing track.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, this is a bit...
It's hard.
You know, it's Larry Carlton. And then he opened, you know, he talked about his career a bit, and, you know, it was fascinating. And it's fucking Larry Carlton. And then someone said, "Oh man, I'm a huge fan of the solo on Reeling in the Years." And
no.
Larry's like, "Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I am too." He's like, "Oh yeah, it's just one, you know, it's a great solo." He's like, "Yeah, it's a great solo." and I'm sitting there cringing, going, "Oh."
It was Elliot Randall, right?
Can I get a therapy session tomorrow? This is so awkward. I think I'm going to need therapy to get over how traumatic this is. Yeah.
No. The two I was thinking, and quickly I'll get to Herbie Strat and more Lemon Juice too, because I love those tunes of yours. But starting with the Jamiroquai stuff. So 7 Days in Sunny June.
Yes.
So mate, what everyone else is that music video. Everyone else is like, Matt's looking cool, they're all cool, and you just get to strum acoustic guitar in the background as the supporting actor again.
Yeah. There's one scene in it where I'm a panda. I'm dressed as a panda for something. I'm in a panda suit.
I'm going to go and watch that now and check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, dear boy.
Rob's turned into a marsupial. He actually has a Joey in there. We haven't had
And then someone else, because it was loads of extras were booked. You know, it was supposed to be some kind of party. It was actually freezing. It was really cold.
Oh, really?
It was at Jay's house, and it's supposed to be a depiction of what a lifestyle is, you know. It's a big party, you know. The helicopter comes in and delivers some sauce, you know. This is just absolutely nuts. But actually, in that video, I'm strumming that guitar. That is my very first guitar. It's my dad's old Hofner. That's my first guitar. Yeah, I took that to the set, which is sat over there. An old Hofner guitar.
Mate, I got to say, I love that part. You know the.
Yeah.
And then this.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why that works, but it just so works for my brain. Did you come up with that part, or was that something like... How did that come about?
I just came... Matt, that was written by Matt Johnson and Jay, and I just wrote that guitar part at the top,
Mate, it's brilliant. It's like... And, just... I would never think to play... those chords in relation to that, because my brain would be going, well, that theoretically doesn't fit with that, but it's perfect, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the big part of working with Jamiroquai. I mean, those chords were written by Matt, but I just come up with the rhythm pattern, and you know, Matt wrote that song. But Jay doesn't. So Jay, this is something I've learned. It's a huge learning experience for me, working with someone who doesn't know anything about music theory is great.
Yeah.
Because it means that they don't care about the rules. So that's why you get so many interesting changes in Jay's music. And someone like, Peter Gabriel and stuff like that, they don't really, they're like, no, jam that note into that chord and just get used to it. And eventually, after you've heard it, and then when everything sort of changes around it to accommodate it, you get something that is slightly new. And that's why with Jay, there's no anytime anything gets a bit too diatonic, he's bored. He wants things that are jarring and a little bit edgy, and that's why that's the music. That's the way he hears music.
So what I've always liked about that band is the mix of groove but interesting kind of harmony too. Do you know what I mean? It's in some ways, it's kind of similar to what Steely Dan do. That it's this mix of nice harmony with groove. You know what I mean? Different grooves, but
it's reckless harmony. I think it's a good thing. You know?
Totally.
I like it. It's opened me up to so much more stuff because initially I learned very early on never to question what it is. Just go with it, and it might end up being something fresh and new. Might not. It might get on the cutting room floor, but it is something that's really beneficial to just go with it and almost throw the rule book out. Put the rule book down on the table next to you, so you know what you're taking from, but don't worry too much about whether the rules apply.
Totally. Yeah, the other one was Little L. That's a song I've always liked too, which I'm pretty sure was you playing on, right? That would have been about the area that you were. Those two tunes have always been the two, and of course, I mean, Virtual Insanity and things like that with the big and Cosmic Girl and things like that. But those are my two favourite tunes from that band too. So moving on, in terms of your music, so Herbie Strat and more Lemon Juice. You got more plans to do any more stuff like that, or like your own?
I've got two projects going on. I've been sat in this stalemate, checkmate for ages, where I've got two projects going on. I've got some instrumental music, some guitar-y stuff that I'm working on, and I've got some vocal stuff which is absolutely nothing like. It's not funky at all, and it's some people are going, "Oh, just put it all out as one name," but I'm like, it's not going to work. It's weird.
So you're singing, or you've got a singer?
Yeah, me singing.
Oh wow! I didn't know you sang.
I know. I didn't either. And it's quite a daunting thing because I work with, like yourself, I work with so many good singers that you go,
that's why I don't sing.
How dare I open my mouth?
That's why I don't sing. I'm just, it's scary.
So one of them's going to have to take the forefront. And the at the moment, the guitar instrumental stuff is coming along like, okay, that's kind of getting there. But also you're kind of looking around, when you sort of get to play with Mark Lettieri and you're going, gee, he's incredible. Yeah. And you've got people like Osnoy and all these amazing players, and Jack Gardner and, Tom Quayle and John Cordy and yourself.
Mark feels the same way about your playing, though, I have to say, too. He's told me on many occasions.
I love Mark's playing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. He's great. We had a great time. Last year we did a thing for Paul Reed Smith.
He just had a baby too.
He's such a lovely guy. I saw that the other day. I must send him a message actually.
Yeah, because Snakey Puppy is playing New Zealand this Saturday. And I texted him like 3 or 4 months ago and I said, are you coming to New Zealand to do this gig? And he said, I told you in January at the Baked Potato that I've got a baby on the way. And I was like, no, you didn't. And he goes, yeah, I did. I told you. And I was like, oh, I guess you did then. So, and lo and behold, the baby arrives like a week before they come to New Zealand. So, lucky he didn't come on that gig, or it would have been... It would have been, you know...
He's such a great guy and such an amazing player. And, and egoless, just lovely. I sat in... I'd met him several times, and then I got asked to go in and play on this to do a sort of a joint PRS thing with him at the PRS studio down the road, and I was nervous. Mark Lettieri. I'm going to go and play with Mark Lettieri. What's that going to be like? And the guy had a track for us to play on, and literally within seconds we both settled on a part. We wrote a little head. Then it was we just ready to record. It was almost like just the easiest thing to play with. He's such a giving musician,
Yeah.
and hopefully I'm trying to do the same. And then it came time to do the solos, and I'm like, do you know what? I'll do the first solo if that's okay. If you don't mind, I'll do the first one. So I probably did about 3 takes, because I didn't want to play after him. You know, I would.
Come on, I'm sure you sounded great. Both of you guys sounded really good together. And
But we're different players. That's the idea. You know, it's okay to be different.
froze up again.
So in the bits where the picture's not there, can you just sort of put someone like really handsome in there, like George Clooney?
I'm going to AI you with hair on.
Just get this guitar.
Because actually, I've seen a picture of you with hair. There was a picture,
Shit.
I think you posted it, and I was like, oh, so that's what Rob... Because as long as I've known you, you've not had hair.
I've been follically challenged.
It's the reason I wear a hat nowadays.
Are you going as well?
It's going.
Is it getting a bit launch
It's
paddy?
not there yet,
Yeah.
but it's getting there, you know.
Give into it. Just shave it all off.
I noticed
Shave it
Adam's
all
been
off.
done the same too.
Adam's done the same.
Yeah.
Just go with it. You know, no one cares.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Apart from actually, they do care because I don't get called. I didn't get a gig. I think I was mentioned by I don't know if you know Jacko Jaksic.
No.
Jacko played. Well, he used to play for Level 42, but he did
Wow.
King Crimson recently. He's amazing. He was the sort of guitar player and singer with King Crimson on the last bunch of gigs they did.
Wow.
And he put me forward for a gig with Steve Wilson, Porcupine Tree, Steve Wilson. And
Sure.
apparently he looked at a picture of me and went, nah.
What?
I don't know if this is actually the thing. It's just what
Yeah.
they saw a picture and was like, why would I want that bald?
Did you see that guy,
aging...
Bad Brad, I think his YouTube channel is? He did a video about this. The key to success on YouTube is to have good hair. And he said, look at Tom Bukovac, and he went through all these people with good hair,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, and he goes, the guys that wear hats are clearly hiding bad hair, and they don't do very well on YouTube. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, maybe the hat should go off.
A few years ago, Paul Turner and I went to see. We got invited to go and see. It was a double header with Jeff Beck and Clapton,
Wow.
and we went to the O2.
Wow.
And we got, it was Michelle John who was singing with Clapton. She invited us to go and see it.
Nice.
And we sat in the audience there at the O2, and we were all, Paul and I were both surrounded by all these slightly older guys with loads of hair, just hair everywhere. It looked like a 70s football team. And I just said to Paul, I said, look, I think we're follically destined not to be rock and roll people. we're follically challenged. We're follically destined to just play funk music, I guess. But yeah.
Ah, yeah, man. It's funny, isn't it? The whole image thing. And I don't know if you saw the guy who got the Shaka Khan gig. She recently auditioned for guitar. I don't know if you thought about putting yourself forward, but I actually did. I put a video together and I had it all ready to go. I went to submit it, and it said submissions closed 2 days ago. And I was like,
right.
because you never hear of auditions here in New Zealand. It's like,
No.
we never hear of it. But I thought, well, I'll throw my hat in the ring. Who knows what happens? But I don't know if you saw the guy that got it. It's like a...
He's the good-looking guy that's always... Is it the guy that's always sitting by his bed and then he just picks the guitar up? Yeah.
And he just overplays on everything, and it's just... And there's no
Wow.
funk in his playing. And I'm not meaning to bag on him, but I was really surprised. And and then Rob Bacon, who plays in her band, he posted on Instagram the other day, because I've been following him. I don't know him, but I follow him on Instagram, and he said, when you turn up for work and the boss tells the new hire, this is going to change your life, and he had a smiley emoji next to it, and I was like, ooh, that good, eh?
I've got my own. I'm going to do my own tribute acts to Shaka Khan, right?
Nice.
I'm gonna put a really smoking band together, but get a singer that can't quite sing, and I'm gonna call it Shaka Can't. And then I'm gonna do, once that's finished, I'm gonna get a Star Wars. Is it a Wookiee? I don't know what he's called, but I'm gonna call it Chewbacca Khan. Yeah, Chewbacca Khan. So it's just gonna be all Shaka Khans. I'm Every Woman, but sung by Chewbacca. So I'm gonna do that.
Oh, that's brilliant. You got to have some fun, eh?
Yeah.
Like Larry Goldings with his old Hans Groener stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that. The stuff he did at Smalls. Well, mate, I should let you go because I've taken an hour
Wicked.
of your time, and you've been amazing for this, and
Oh,
thank you
bless
so much
It's
for
been
doing
good
this.
to see you.
Likewise.
Lovely looking guitar.
I'm back to being a Strat guy again.
You know, I've learned whenever I don't buy a lot of guitars really, I sort of go and acquire them and trade them or whatever. But I've learned that I always try guitars out with my eyes shut if I can.
Yeah.
I get them to hand me. I went and bought a Sir a few years ago, and quite long, probably 10 years ago, and I picked the 5 that I liked the look of, and I just said to the guy, look, can you just humour me and hand me the guitars one by one?
Wow.
And I would just sit there and strum chords, you know, play with my eyes shut and kind of get the fit. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? And then, put that one in that pile, and then that's how I eliminate the other ones and go. And then when I open my eyes, sometimes I go, actually, that's the cheaper guitar, or that's the one I would never have picked because of the colour, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to do that.
Nice, yeah.
Even with this, I'm kind of, when I spoke to Patrick, who's amazing, and he's a lovely guy, and he makes incredible guitars. I've said, and my involvement with PRS as well, because they've been very kind to me over the years. I've just said, look, you have to understand that the nature of my job means that sometimes I have to play something else. I just have to. I can't, if I need to use a 335, I need to use the 335. That's what the job is. That's playing on a record or on a TV show or something like that. That's what it is. So, and if you're, I understand if you're not okay with that, but I just can't. I just can't do it in any other way.
Nice one. Hey, mate, thanks so much.
Amazing.
And I'll buy you a coffee, a beer, a wine, or whatever sometime because I'm very thankful you did this.
I'll get Robharris to sort us coffee out. We'll be fine. I'll just go.
A tasty Robharris beverage.
A tasty Robert. I've heard it's not very good coffee. I don't know.
It's middle ground. It's not bad and it's not high end, but it's right in the middle. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice one, mate.
Brilliant.
Hey, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
See ya. Bye.